Hello, this is Brian Murphy. I'm going to take you through a quick training video on septic systems. This one is an aerobic system. It's a 3-tank aerobic system. So you can see here where I already have 2 of the tank lids open and I left one closed just for video purposes. So each one of these tanks covers need to be secured in place. Right here you can kind of see that there was one screw in here, but there's several locations for screws to secure this lid in place. None of the lids, all 3 of them, were properly secured in place. They had screws in place, but they're stripped out, so the lids could just be easily removed. So this being the 3rd and final tank, right here, you can see where this is the holding tank after the septage passes through the clarifier. So this has a pump in it to take the septage out to the distribution field. You can kind of see right here where the wires are not properly secured in place. So there's a lot of ants on these wires as well, where they passed through the conduit and made it to it. This is the chlorine holder right here. When I removed the chlorine holder, the chlorine was clogged. It was real soggy, so it's backed up, so it's not properly being treated right here. So this is the final tank. You really shouldn't have any septage in this tank. It should be clear, kind of like a chocolate milk, a light chocolate milk type color. And this one is much darker. Also has a strong odor to it, so you know it's not being the septage is not being properly treated. Also, we had 3 heads out here that whenever the water, when it starts distributing, the 3 heads start distributing the water, there's a strong olfactory odor to it, so the septage odor to it. This one being the 2nd tank, this particular tank is where the aerator should be working, but you can kind of see where there's no bubbles in this particular tank. Also, you can kind of see some septage floating on the top here. So it's okay to have a little bit in here, but not a whole lot, because this is where the bacteria is going to be doing a lot of its work. The bacteria is being aerated. But if you kind of look down here on this inlet, you can kind of see a piece of toilet paper hanging off the top. That tells you that the water level, the septage level, is getting higher than the inlet. And so we know that there's a particular issue here. This being the 1st tank, some people call it the trash tank or the treatment tank. And you can kind of see here, I know it's not the best thing to be looking at, but you can see where it's real thick. You could take try to get a level of the septage, the scum and sludge level, but there's no need on this particular one. We already know we need to get it pumped out, so we're not going to do that. Over here is the electrical system and the pump. On this particular pump, this pump should be running right now. The aerator should be running, and it's not. And you can see over here on the side where they put it on silent. Watch your ears. You can see where they put it on silent. If it wasn't on silent, it would be making this noise to notify the homeowner. Also, this red light should be on right now, so that tells me that it's probably been put on silent for a long time and the red light is eventually burned out. On this particular unit here, if it was properly running, I could remove this pipe right here and cause a pressure drop, and that should also activate the alarm as well. On this particular one, there's no reason to take it off and test it because the aerator is not running. On this cover right here, there's a filter under this cover, so if you remove the screw or back off the screw, you'll be able to see a filter. This filter should be reasonably clean, and the filter should be changed out every 6 months. And you can see how it was real dirty. So this is just where it's bringing in air, taking it down into the 2nd tank, and the aeration of the system helps promote bacterial growth and activity to help treat the septage a lot faster. You can also see where there's a lot of fire ants all around this particular location. This block that's on the side is the cover for the aerator, and but we're going to write up the fact that it has a lot of fire ants on this location. Also, the alarm is put on silent, so we know that there's an issue there. There's no timer in this one, so this one can actuate or activate whenever the floats tell it to. But down here you can see where they're labeled, and the siren or the alarm should be on its own breaker, the aerator on its own breaker, and then the pump for the third tank should be on its own breaker. And so testing the system, there's a couple of different ways to test the system. Now you can carry a rod with you that has a hook on it, and basically you can hook the lower float, and what that does, it activates the heads out here, and then also you can test the upper float, because the upper float will be the alarm float saying that there's a problem. So to kind of just test this, there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can load the system to be able to activate the system, or you can stick a rod down with a hook and bring up the well, we're not going to do it on this particular one, to bring up that float. And what it'll do is activate the heads that are out here. So on the heads that are in the distribution field, this particular system has 3. The heads need to be painted purple so they can be easily identified as a separate system than the sprinkler system. Also, this particular residence, the sprinkler system double covers the treatment area, the distribution treatment area. So that is something that should not happen. And then also, we have this one particular spot right here is where one of the heads is, and it sprays right onto the fence or a little bit over the fence line, and that should not happen as well. There should be a 25-foot setback for that particular system. So again, this was just a real quick video on inspecting a septic system. This is an aerobic system, a 3-tank system. Controls up on the wall. Treatment tank on the first one, aeration tank on the second one. There will be a clarifier between those, the second and third tank, and then the third tank is the the distribution tank, or the holding tank, before it gets sent off for distribution out to the sprinkler heads. If this video was helpful, please like it and share it.